Hello, welcome to the I'm a Busy Guy show. My name is LoCascio and I'm a busy guy. I've got two busy people here today. Charles Nemes, she's president of Barbizon School of Modeling of the Midwest, and Paige Ellman, she's the agency director of Royal Model and Talent Management. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting us.
It's a pleasure because I know you're busy and your busy schedules you fit in time for this show. Charles, we'll start with you first. How did you get involved with Barbizon and the modeling industry?
Well, my wife was a model in Ireland and came here to the United States, and I met her in San Francisco, fell madly in love with her. We then got married, and then we decided on whether or not we would be in the restaurant business, because I was a manager of a restaurant at the Fairmont Hotel, and she was modeling for Jimmy Gourmet in San Francisco. It was easy. It was easy for me to go into her business. My mother was a famous fashion designer, so, you know, looking at beautiful girls all my life, why not continue?
And you've got one sitting next to you.
I do indeed.
Paige Ellman runs the Royal Model and Talent Management.
That's right.
And you're a product of the industry as well?
I am, that's correct. I started modeling. My parents put me into a modeling program, a charm school, when I was about 5 years old. It was through Montgomery Ward. It was called Wendy Ward Charm School. And I remember being 5 years old, walking the runway, doing different fashion shows. And since then, I got into musical theater, local community theater, and I've done performing to this day.
And Charles, tell me, what exactly is Barbizon? It's quite a recognizable name, but what is Barbizon School of Modeling?
Well, Barbizon is a franchise, and we, my wife and I, own the franchise here for the Midwest. So we're in northern Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, and Minnesota.
Quite an outreach.
It is. We like to refer ourselves as an old-fashioned finishing school that teaches modeling and acting. So we're here to develop young teens and preteens to gain self-confidence, to understand what proper etiquette is, and to be able to say no to a lot of the peer pressures that are going through life today for them.
Yeah, let alone just being a kid is a tough thing.
Being a kid today is very tough, and having a program like ours to go through, being there with other kids who have the same interests that they have, they now feel that they're welcome into the society.
And Paige, what exactly is Royal Model and Talent Management?
So Royal is the next step for the kids who've gone through the Barbizon program if they want to pursue the acting and modeling industry, to actually work in the industry, to get print jobs and audition for TV commercials, to do films. So we are the representation. I act as the liaison between the client and the talent being the actor or the model. So my job is to help them find the opportunities to get out there, to get their face out there so they can actually be in front of the camera if that's what they choose to do.
Nice, and get paid.
Exactly right. It's a great way for a lot of these kids. I've got a 10-year-old who's saving up for her college tuition right now, doing commercial work and print work, and the family is very supportive, and she's doing wonderfully.
Nice. Charles, I mean, with all your years of experience and stuff, there's, it's not the word versus, but there's modeling versus acting. What's
well, that's an interesting, you know, today modeling and acting is synonymous with each other. Really, to be a model, you have to have a personality. You have to be able to act in front of the camera. You need to show a lot of expression. Here in Chicago, it is a very big commercial print market, as well as a fantastic acting market. And for that, you need to have the personality. Modeling in itself, there's some modeling, of course, you know, with runway and print jobs for local companies. However, you know, to be the 5'9" and very and have the very thin body, there's very little work here, and that's done by, you know, two very successful agencies downtown.
And where when you say Chicago's not a place for that, what are? It's like New York.
Well,
Paris,
New York and obviously New York and Paris and London, And there is some work here in Chicago. Chicago Magazine is a very good example of that. But the agencies here also filter their top models to other agencies throughout the world.
And there's many other types of I mean, sometimes the word model comes into play. People think, you know, the runway, the girls walking up and down there, and the guys walking up and down the runways. But there's also quite a few other things. If we can walk through some of commercials that people get work in.
Sure, commercial work and different types of print work. You know, catalog, where they just want, you know, the girl next door. They don't want glamorous or the cover of GQ, that type of look. You know, they just want the average Joe, the average person that could be your neighbor. You know, fitness modeling, we do a lot of that type of stuff. You know, people who have a toned body, they might not be muscular, but they just are fit and toned and healthy. We do a lot of that work too.
Nice. And what exactly are industrial films that you hear about?
Industrials are videos that corporations would put out, so maybe they are training their employees and they would hire actors to maybe act as the employee, to tell you here's what to do, here's what not to do, this is our corporate policies, and they maybe would act out a scene to help train the employees. We do a lot of educational videos that are shown to high school and college students. We've done videos about different peer pressures, and the actors that are hired for these videos are some of our kids who might play the kid who gets into trouble, and then here's the right way to go. So they would have the actor who plays the good kid.
So there's opportunities out there for people in this industry, and they can start learning the path at Barbizon.
Well, absolutely, absolutely. You know, Barbizon's program is designed for preteens and teens who are still in high school. We don't have a program for adults. But what we're teaching them is the life skills to which they need to get on through life, as I said before. The auditions to which they go on are after 3 o'clock, after school, and during normal hours after that. The industry is very strict today. They require they require that each child does not have a D on their report card. So they're looking for people who can, you know, definitely generate 2 or 3 different things at the same time, being able to juggle that. I know that I'm always looking for somebody who has that opportunity to do that.
Well, I mean, it says a lot for you and for the industry that they hold those standards, because the fact that we'll talk about it later, but how not everybody that gets into the industry is successful like you dream of.
No, that's correct. And you know, everybody always asks me, well, who is one of your greatest success stories? And I always say the greatest success story that I've ever had are the people to which lives I have saved. And I've saved a lot. I've had a lot of kids come through our program. And like I said, they may be F's and D's on their report card. However, having gained the confidence of coming through the program and believing in themselves, they now get a much better report card. That's been gone for years and years and years and years through our program.
Right. And there's a subject of which we may talk about later too, but while we're on that right now, about what people should watch for and look out for is regarding pageants and pageantry.
Well, I'm an advocate of pageants. I'm an advocate of the American Miss pageant. They're a very good pageant. They deal with educational needs as opposed to swimwear. I think any pageant that requires a young individual to be in a swimwear is not one to which we advocate.
That's great.
And I also think that it's great for their confidence and building their self-esteem. I mean, that's a tough industry too.
What about other avenues that they can approach? Something, there's a joke, you got a face for radio, people say, but
sure.
Voiceovers is a big. Does Royal handle that?
We do voiceover bookings. We handle a lot of the narrators for different corporate videos, radio, television. And again, it has to be more than just, oh, you have a nice sounding voice. You have to be able to portray the emotions and come across. It's almost even harder than on camera because you're simply just using your voice. And now it can be really regular booking for a lot of people, and some people specialize just in voiceover, whereas some of the talent do voiceover and the on-camera, but voiceover can be very lucrative for a lot of people.
Yeah, there's some voices out there.
Oh, sure,
that
you
are
recognize
very
them?
recognizable.
Sure.
CNN is, what's his name? Alex, not Alex Haley. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But you know,
It's Darth Vader's voice.
well, you know, interestingly enough, many of the very top A actors and celebrities are doing voiceovers through what the Disney characters that are coming out,
Oh, sure.
or
yes,
Pixar,
exactly.
and that's another way of voiceovers.
Or they appear on The Simpsons or something like that. You know, they do the
Exactly.
character voices. Sure.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
But Chicago is a big market for voiceover. Yeah.
And then when they say trade shows, what avenue is that people can?
So we would hire, we would book the models who would represent a company. So if a company comes through town and they're doing the auto show downtown or the restaurant show, so they would have a model or a host represent them at their booth. Some of them act as crowd gatherers. So if you have an attractive man or woman at your booth, they would attract the crowd and interact with them, tell them about the product. And it can be, you know, several days of a job for them. And that can be a regular booking as well.
Yeah.
And by the way, our agency is always looking for top talent of any age group.
Yeah, because, you know, as you mentioned earlier, it's not just the 6 foot tall, skinny female and the handsome guy, the GQ guy, as you said. There's all types of looks that people are looking for now.
Yes. I think what's opened up here in the last 10 years, you no longer have CBS, NBC, and ABC. You have Fox, you have the CW, you have all of the cable networks that are now producing their own TV shows. You have Nickelodeon, you have Disney. It has opened up an incredible amount of opportunities for young actors as well as older actors who want to come in.
Like me.
Exactly, just like you.
And, you know, speaking of back to commercials, but now, I think when YouTube first came out, you would just click and it would, you know, now you have to go sit through a commercial on a lot of them now. So that's just a whole another avenue of more commercials.
Well, I don't know anything about YouTube because I never see it, but you're looking at the Facebook YouTube queen over here.
Social media is what it's all about.
Hey,
so.
social media is everything. I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
It's you know, it's the way of the world, and we'll talk later about how the internet has affected the industry.
Sure.
But so now, I mean, these are the types of jobs that people can get. What about what do you suggest to people, you know, for education to get started?
Well, I think that they, first of all, they should go to our website, modelsmidwest.com, and educate themselves a little bit about what our company is all about. If they're interested in pursuing some more information on that, then fill out the form and we will get back to them pretty quickly, and then educate them that way through an interview process. As far as, and that would be anybody who is 4 to 18 years old, male or female. As far as the adults go, we have them go to royalmodels.com, educate themselves there as well. And we are always looking for all ethnicities and anybody who has talent. They must have talent for us to represent them if they're over 18. So they need to have done some jobs already. They need to, at least having gone through another program or taken some programs downtown Chicago in the acting field. We won't send out anybody to any casting director or to any client who hasn't had some sort of training.
And that's somewhat the industry itself will do that as well, right? I mean, acting classes are available like community colleges.
Sure.
You know, there's what
They
they
can
call
go to-
summer stock.
Sure. Second City, improv classes, even doing local theater. Anyone can get involved in audition in community theater, and that's a great way to build up your resume and to gain experience. Even taking just a basic acting class is invaluable, and just to get you the basics so you feel comfortable auditioning and getting out there.
Now, of course, with our teens, if any of them have a drama program in their school or an after-school program, they should definitely take care of it. As far as preteens, preteens is a very good market here in Chicago. However, they definitely need to take some sort of training.
And something that's needed in the industry now to keep it professional is something that somebody needs to get. We can flip through a few. This is what's referred to as a comp card.
Comp card, and every model who's serious about the business and who's a professional should always have a comp card. So the front of the comp is a headshot, and when you turn it over, on the back it shows a few different looks just to show different expression, different types, and also on the back would include the model's stats: height, shoe size, hair color, eye color, waist size.
And in the industry, I mean, you have to have this, right?
Absolutely. So,
and then a resume.
So for an actor needs an 8x10 headshot. And now the trend is a color headshot, 8x10, and when you flip it over, on the back of the headshot is attached your acting resume. So that would include your name, any experience that you have in film or TV, maybe some extra work you've done, any theater, stage that you've done. Also include any training. And also the most important and most interesting section that some of the clients look at first is the special skills and interests. So if they play volleyball, if they can speak fluent Spanish or French, or we had a call the other day, they needed a kid who could skateboard. So different things like that. You never know what the clients are looking for. So that little special skill you might have making cannolis in your kitchen might come to use. You never know.
Yeah, something that you already possess.
Exactly right.
What would your advice be to someone getting into the industry? Because actually you did kind of just cover it, but I'm new to the industry, and what am I going to put on my resume? If it's like, if I haven't done it already, how am I going to put something on there? What are your suggestions for that?
Well, I think in both training is the most important. It's I think that it's more important for a client to have somebody who knows what they're doing in front of the camera, because it saves them money. If they can do a job in an hour or 2 hours to what it might take for somebody who's coming off of the street, might take 5 or 6 hours. They may save the money in terms of what they're paying the model or the actor by taking somebody off the street. But think about the time of the studio time, the photographer's time, the lighting time, or the set time, and that amounts to a lot of money.
Yeah, time is
money.
And in Chicago, especially, a way to build up your resume is by doing extra work. If you want to be an extra in TV or film, there's so many great things being filmed here in Chicago now. And anyone can get involved, any type, any age. They look for all types. It might be a big group scene. It might be a smaller scene where you might have a bit part. I know one of my actors has done quite a bit of stand-in work, so he's been a double for one of the lead actors. And that's a great experience, and you learn a lot just by being on set and taking direction and knowing how to perform in front of the camera, and just being with your fellow actors and networking. You learn so much just by being an extra.
I think that's a great point, because people see a movie and they really think about how it's made, but once you're on that set and you see all the lights and the cables and all the things that's going on, the actor becomes like the smallest part of the whole operation.
That's right. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah. What can you tell me about auditions and how it's tied into rejection?
Auditions and rejection. Rejection is, if you choose to be an actor or a model, you have to just be prepared that rejection is going to be almost a daily routine. You can go on 20 auditions and you might not get 20 auditions. You might get that 21st audition, though. You might book that job. So you have to have a really thick skin, and that's one thing that Barbizon teaches, is that you really have to be able to have that confidence to handle the rejection and treat it as a business, and you can't take it personally. It can be tough, though, for anybody.
Well, I imagine. I mean, nobody likes to be told that you're not the part, but as Charles told me earlier, that it's what the client's looking for. It's not that you're not the right person.
Well, listen, there's a million blondes, there's a million brunettes, and there's a million redheads, And you'd be surprised that when an audition is asking for a 14 to 16-year-old blonde, you very well may be going into an audition looking at 20 clones of yourself.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the difference is your personality. Your personality sells yourself.
And casting calls. A casting call is pretty much, well, for print it's called an audition, right? Or
for acting, it would be an audition. And for print, it would be a casting. So you would find out all that you can to prepare in advance for that audition or that casting. Find out what they're looking for. Your agency would tell you what time you need to be there, what you need to wear, if there's a script, if you need to prepare a script ahead of time. So there's a lot of different factors involved in getting to that point.
it might be getting ahead of of what we're talking here now, but I know in acting class that they had prepared us they said you need to learn a monologue.
Sure.
So if you're getting into the game really seriously.
And that's something that's so easy to do. I remember when I was right out of college and thinking about pursuing acting, I would go to the library and they have all kinds of books of monologues. And now for kids, it's so easy. They can go online and just look up monologues for young actors. And there's so many options that would be available to them. But most actors should always be prepared with a comedic monologue and a dramatic monologue. And they also have to be prepared, and that's another thing that Barbizon teaches very well, is cold reading. And they have to be prepared just on the spot, no preparation whatsoever. Cold read it can be tough, but with a lot of practice, they can become comfortable with it.
I can tell you that in our classes, when we advocate them developing a monologue, we always suggest a comedic monologue because it's harder to be funny and it also shows much more emotion. But more, we suggest that they make up their own monologue of something that's funny that happened in their life. In the old days, going into the library and everything was really a good way and an easy way, but many of these casting directors have heard these monologues over and over and over again. But to really develop your own monologue of your own personality, that captures them.
I would imagine that would put you at ease too, because
Yes,
knowledge
you're
is
familiar.
power, so you're saying something instead of memorizing.
Well, in this game, as you well know, it's just being yourself at the audition and not being over the top. Just talking to you or just talking to me is really the best.
Yeah, it's no secret I'm in the restaurant business, but I say it over and over again, and it's not just the restaurant business; it's everywhere. We're all acting. Everybody's acting continuously.
Sure.
You tell the staff, if you're not happy, act like you're happy, and they do. Yes. Everybody has to. You're acting at some point. This is just channeling it, I guess, as a professional being paid to be an actor. Which it leads me to another question. I was having a job and being available, because I know you can put a little more light on that for me. How you have to be available for auditions, and then if you get the part, but you also have to feed yourself.
Well, I think in Chicago especially, I think every actor has to have a means of income besides acting or modeling. So most of the actors and models that I represent have a full-time job, but it has that flexibility that allows them to make the auditions and to be available when their agency calls and says, we've got an audition for you, can you be there tomorrow at 10 a.m.? So they need to have a little bit of flexibility there. But it can be a challenge because a lot of these castings come up at the very last minute and you don't have time to arrange your schedule. So that's why if you have a boss who's understanding and knows what your career goals are, then that can be a good thing.
Well, the two most important things for an actor to have is a really good, solid headshot and a telephone.
And be ready. I mean,
Yes.
They have to be ready.
The auditions is nice because there's usually a window. You could be here between this time and that time. But the whole thing comes down to is if you get the part, you definitely have to be available.
Absolutely. So if you get the booking, that's it. Exactly right.
And talk about availability. We have gone more to texting and emailing our particular clients. And we expect our clients to also email us back on whether they're available or not for the job.
Right.
Sure. And things move so quickly in the industry that, we expect, our clients expect us to have confirmations to them right away. And if the actors don't get back to us in a timely manner, they lose out on the audition. So it's...
And it truly is a business. I mean, it comes down to not you're just not going through the motions. You want to get paid, you know, and that's
Absolutely.
That's what keeping your eye on the prize.
It's fun and glamorous, but it's a business.
And plus, you know, you got to. We're saying over and over again how much hard it works. But there's the Lana Turner myth where I guess she was sitting in a drugstore having a Coke, and somebody said, "You're so beautiful." And modern day too, you were telling me that.
You know, that
Reese Witherspoon.
That's right. Reese Witherspoon, as a 14-year-old, she went to a casting for a film in her small town, and she had had some print experience and had done some things before then, but she had went to just an open call for extras, and she ended up landing the lead role. So it can still happen, but I would say 99% of the time that's very rare.
It is very rare. You know, you hear these really great stories about it, but the fact of the matter is, if they don't have the training and they don't have the confidence, most of the time, most of these agencies will see your picture and then what we call file it.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's millions out there.
There's millions.
It's so competitive.
It's very competitive.
I should be fair and say we're going to do 2 shows. So this one, you know, we're kind of pretty much telling you how to get into our next show. We'll talk about, you know, now that you have all this. But just to go through some quick points, what about for kids? Kids, you know, oh, my kid is so cute.
Yeah.
You put him in, make him a model. What?
Well, this is something you hear every day.
Oh boy, yes. Every day I get a phone call, a parent calls and says, my kid is so cute, they want to be on TV, they want to be in this ad, in the Sunday newspaper, how can I get them into this? It takes a lot. It takes more than just good looks. You know, a child can be in an environment where they're meeting new people, they go to auditions, they might be a ham at home and be entertaining the whole family, but when they get to an audition, they might freeze up and get real nervous. So they have to have that personality where they just are just naturally comfortable in front of the camera. They have to have a lot of support from the parents, and they have to want to do it. The kid really has to be the one who really wants it and has the passion for it. It can't be the mom or the dad pushing them into it.
Yeah. And Charles, what did you tell me? The parents are the chauffeurs. That's it.
Yes. You know, unfortunately, that's the truth. The parents are the chauffeurs of the young kids. You know, if the parent is not the one who's auditioning, you know, it's the talent themselves. And if the parent is over aggressive, the child is going to lose out on the audition. And these people never forget.
Yeah.
That's the thing. These casting directors, they keep unbelievable notes, and which is a good thing for somebody who's done a very good audition down there. They're repeatedly called.
Yeah. Well,
So
go ahead.
the more easygoing the parent is and the more professional, and they get the kid there on time and there's no tantrums, that's a good
Another thing
thing.
back about rejection, I mean, if you're going there as an adult and somebody's telling you you're rejected, I got a phone.
Vince, you got a client here.
Hold on. Hello? I did? Okay. Okay, all right, bye. I got an audition.
Oh, fantastic!
I can't believe
That's
it.
great.
I can't believe it. On the show.
Congratulations.
Well, I brought you guys some cannolis here. So here's some cannolis for
Great.
you.
Thanks, Vince.
Thank you, Vince.
All right,
Fantastic.
let me go. Wow, I can't believe I got the part.
Wow.
All right, I'm going to take off, and thanks for being on the show, you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
See you back for next show.
All right.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. So that was a quick
Hey, why not? They look delicious.
I'll have one of
Great.
mine.
Let's see what I've got here.